Hello folks, welcome to my new setup complete with the reflection of myself in the mirror. I can't do anything about those, so you're just going to have to deal with them. And it's really hard to aim at yourself like this in the computer screen. Everything's backwards. Anyways, this new video of mine, and I hope YouTube accepts this format, is about proofreading yourself. Usually I deal with logical fallacies, such as pointing out, as someone left in my channel comments, that the first cause can't be proved by logic alone because it transcends it. Well, prove that it transcends it, that it can't be proven simply because we don't have access to the evidence instead of transcending it. That's the sort of argument I usually deal with. But in this video, I want to address something else, a bit of a pet peeve of mine, if you will. People who don't know how to proofread, and I hope you can't hear me clicking too much, the mouse might be noisy. People not proofreading themselves often fall into the trap of arguing against their own point. I'll give you an example. A theist was arguing with me on my channel page in PMs and on a video in the comments, and left in one of his paragraphs these 5 words at the very end: faith begins when reason ends. This, to a theist, is a silver bullet. It's an argument winner. It kills any possibility of opposition because, bam, profundity. Except not really. I agree with that statement. Faith begins when reason ends. At the end of reason, you get faith. When you are unreasonable, you get faith. I agree. Congratulations. We agree on something. Except that's an argument against his point, that faith is reasonable. He's trying to tell me that it's reasonable to have faith in the absence of evidence. And he says that it's reasonable because at the end of what's reasonable, you get faith. It's a bit of a contradiction, isn't it? You're kind of arguing against your own point. All I have to do is agree with you, and, argument won. Congratulations. We can all go home early. Ice cream for everybody. But, this is something I see often. And as I said, it's a pet peeve of mine. It comes up almost in every discussion I've had with theists. In some discussions I've had with atheists, even. To give you another fine example, I often speak in comments about a young Earth creationist I helped along in his deconversion, and in one Skype discussion I was having with him on the subject of gay marriage, I don't remember exactly how it got onto that track, but his father jumped in on the conversation. He just ran into the room and started screaming at the microphone that if we allowed gay marriage, because of the stereotypical promiscuity of gay men, it would drive up insurance costs because they would get AIDS from their lovers while they sleep around, cheating on their husbands, and it would cost more to the insurance companies to insure them. Now, I pointed out that that was actually an argument in favor of allowing gay marriage, because, well, I'm not actually sure here, but I think adultery is illegal, which would cut down on promiscuity in gay couples, meaning that they wouldn't be sleeping around as much, which would not drive up insurance costs. So his argument that gay marriage would drive up insurance costs because of AIDS fell flat. Not only fell flat, but went right back in his face, like one of those wet newspapers in the most cliche of gag movies. And he never figured out, well, I think the father did at some point, but this person on my channel never figured out that faith begins when reason ends is something I should say. He's never figured out that it's an argument against him. Now, I think that he simply didn't proofread himself, or if he did, for spelling errors, he didn't actually think about what he was saying. You should always understand what it is you are saying and the words you are using. Because while at first glance, faith begins when reason ends, seems profound. It is flawed in that the opposite is true. If you need faith when you have no reason, then you have no reason for faith. Faith is based on unreasonable things. That's what his statement means. If you think about it, if you had reread yourself and really thought, as an outside observer might, who was reading this, thought, wait a second, faith begins when reason ends. No, that's not going to help my point much. But this didn't happen because a lot of people are more interested in getting their argument out as fast as possible and as strong as possible without thinking of the consequences of their words. It's important to think about what you're saying. And I say this because as someone who attempts, at least most of the time, as often as I can, in fact, to think critically about everything I say, it's really irritating to have to argue with you against you. Because most people don't realize that that's what I'm doing at this point. I don't have to say anything else about anything he said. He said, faith begins when reason ends. Well, correct. You have faith. Faith is unreasonable. Argument over. So think about that. And please, even if you're not a person who says things like this and intends it the other way, like this guy did, even if you're not that kind of person, think about what you say. Even if you're an atheist, think about what you say. If you're a theist, think about what you say. Pause for effect. It's not too much to ask, is it? That you actually understand what it is you're talking about? I mean, the very minimum should be to know what the hell you're saying. Not like this. It's an uphill battle, folks. But I think if we can get this just a little bit better, we might have more interesting conversations in the future. So remember, folks, even though I wear this mask, and it's clearer than ever thanks to my new camera, I hope, please, I hope, just because I wear this mask doesn't mean I'm wrong. Faith begins when reason ends.